This is Emonews, and we are beaming with excitement as we bring you live coverage from the construction site of Dominica's newest international airport. A special thanks to Mr. Samuel Johnson for guiding us and giving us the tour. Are you all ready? I am excited, and I know you are as well.
So, welcome to the international airport site. We're live uh, on MO. Finally, thanks for making the time to visit. I know we've been trying to arrange this for the longest time. So finally, we were able to have you visit the site. And actually, your timing is perfect because we have with us visiting at the same time the Eastern Caribbean Civil Aviation Authority doing one of their visits and inspections, and the team. We just had a meeting with them to go through the plans and the progress to date, collect feedback. So we have these periodic checks that are performed by ECA as our partners on the development of the site. ECA is the regulatory authority for civil aviation in the Eastern Caribbean and interfaces directly with ICAO, which is the International Civil Aviation Authority. We are standing right now at the site of the terminal. So if you look behind me, you'll see um, the, uh, the beams and columns that form the terminal building are currently going up. Uh, the backfilling, foundation works, all of that has already been completed, and you will see all the way at the top. You can get a good sense of how tall the structure is going to be, because on top of this, you're going to have the roof going over it. The intent is to have the superstructure completed by April, March of next year, and then you start working on the internal finishing works. Anyone who's built knows that the excitement is in the finishing works. So we're looking forward to that. And then simultaneously with the terminal building, you would have seen as well the FBO and the tall building that's going up all the way to the end over there would be the air traffic control tower. And then right next to the air traffic control tower will be a hangar, and then the building to the furthest point will be the cargo terminal. The intent being that once the airport is fully operational, you'll have larger aircraft with capability of carrying air cargo to and from Dominica, so which will be a boom not only for those importing but for those exporting cut flowers, fresh fish. I'm told we exported before. It's something we could look at again, and any small volume, high value type products. So we're looking forward to that. Amerijet, for example, which operated out of Douglas Charles, could no longer continue working into Douglas Charles because of the size of the aircraft that they shifted to. Just too big for Douglas Charles. So that is one we've been talking to in terms of getting them back into Dominica to get cargo operations up and running. So all in all, we're tracking very positively. We are slightly ahead of schedule, and you could see from your drive to the site, a lot of the platform has already been completed. Yeah, where we're standing right now is the at the entrance to the terminal. So if you can imagine, you're going to fly out. Your car will be dropping you off right where we're standing right now, and to the right of me would be your parking lot. The designs that we have ensure that the parking lot is like in close proximity to the terminal. So it'll be a drop off, and there's a covered walkway to the terminal, and no long type of walk. It's very convenient. Yeah. Where we're also standing, if you look at the top here, you'll see that the entire slope has been graded, because where we're standing used to be a mountain, or by Dominican side standards a hill. In other countries a mountain. But we had to blast this thing down to get to the finish level that we're on. I mean, it was so tall we had to relocate. Um, Either Digicel or Flow had their telecommunications tower on it, so that had to be relocated to be able to blast and cut down to the side. So this is where we're at today. I don't know if you would want to have a chat with some of the other folks that are visiting. Yeah. Sure. Mr. Whittier. Yes. So this is Mr. Whittier, who is the Director General of the Eastern Caribbean Civil Aviation Authority. And Mr. Whittier, if you could just say a few words about your visit and what you've seen so far.
Yeah, well, as I said, this is certainly a pride project for the Commonwealth of Dominica. We have had regular meetings with the team, the airport development company, the ministry officials, as well as the contractor, Chinese Railway. Um, what we do is we meet to look at the detailed designs, the various schematics and flows, and to advise on meeting the international standards. Um, because this is a new bill, we would expect, and as so far the Commonwealth is delivering on expectations, which is to build this to meet international standards. So that's our key role here, to advise on that and to ensure that when this is finished, it really meets international standards and exceeds international standards. So I would really like to state at the end of this project that there were no deviations, there were no shortcuts. Everything was done to meet international standards, and possibly this could be the first airport in the region that Dominica could say we met all international standards when it comes to building an international aerodrome. So we wish Dominica all the best in this endeavor, and of course we are here committed to the project and will ensure that we work side by side with all the stakeholders to ensure that that is delivered. So thank you very much.
Excellent. Any question?
No. We come periodically on invitation, but we try to make it when there's a significant stage achieved. All right. So when we came here originally, there would have been nothing on the site, just earth movements. So this is a significant change from before in terms of the expansion into the whole layout. Yes. Mm. All right. No problem. No problem.
Standard. What are the critical elements?
Yeah, well, we went through today. What was the name of the drawing we went through today? We went through
Site layout.
a site layout, as well as some of the raw physical dimensions in terms of how far the key components should be distance from each other, which will be critical for this phase of the project. So we would look at, I mean, I will not get into the specifics, but in terms of distance from the runway center line to the fence, to the terminal building, taxiways, taxi lanes, and so on. And those sorts of dimensions we would have verified. Of course, the internal design and the layout of the buildings and the flows and so on, that is purely with the airport to decide how they want to orient and configure those. And we really do have a say in that, right? But in terms of whether or not it's meeting international standards, sure, we could say that that is assured. We don't see any difficulties there. And speaking to the project manager, we were talking about in terms of expansion, what is the options if we need to expand or if some expansion is needed, and he assured us that the acquisition or the project footprint extends way beyond what is required. So there apparently is enough room for any possible expansion in the
And that,
future.
and that's actually one of the design elements of the project, that the master plan took into consideration not just current demand but future needs and future expansion as well.
Yeah. So typically, the plan we saw would have had a build for, let's say, one hangar, right? And of course, if there's need to add, because business is coming to Dominica, then there's certainly enough space for clients to build out and add some hangar space. Mhm.
Yeah.
All right.
And then DG also brought with you some members of your team. If you could
Yeah, yeah.
expound a little bit on
Well, because of airport is a fairly, well, not fairly, it is in fact the most complex area that we do oversight on, because of the many different disciplines that impinge on this particular point. So from flight operations, there's aircraft maintenance, there's air traffic control, there's CNS equipment, there's aviation security. So we have a security inspector, aviation security inspector here, who would have looked at some of the intended passenger flows, some of the security aspects in terms of the separation of items, mixing of non-mixing of passengers, the perimeter and so on, the crush gates and all of that. Even to talk about some of the equipment that would be eventually installed in the airport for screening and so on. We have the manager of the CNS services. CNS is the communication, right, the navigation and the surveillance equipment that would guide the aircraft into a safe landing. So he would have looked at that aspect in terms of the landing aids and the navigational aids, and would have given some pertinent advice, which to the smile of Dominica, there is some area where some cost savings could accrue based on looking at what is in the initial design and what is being proposed versus what might be a future look. All right. There is development in the field of aviation on a constant basis, and therefore some of the equipment which would have been applicable even when I was in training no longer applies. Right. We have more space-based equipment, space-based navigation facilities. We're all familiar with GPS and so on. So some of that discussion would have taken place, and then of course it is for us to say, okay, this is the minimum standard, and what we see is Dominica taking it up a bit to say, well, we will do more than just the minimum standard. All right. So we had aviation security. I mentioned the CNS expert, and myself would be just to ensure that things are moving smooth. There's good coordination and cooperation, and of course to ensure that we are not directing the project. Right. This is being directed by Dominica to ensure that what is built here meets the needs of Dominica, right? So, so far, as we can see, the progress seems to be moving along quite nicely. And then in a couple months' time, you will find we will make another site visit. All right. But the interaction is not only at the site visits. We do exchange documentations as necessary. If there are any changes or some detailed aspect that needs to be looked at and reviewed, we would exchange those communication. And again, we're based in Antigua, but we do have staff based here in Dominica, and they are available, of course, to Mr. Samuel and his team at any particular point in time. The assurance was given to me on the last visit. I did meet with the Honorable Prime Minister, and he did indicate his earnest and his interest for us to be close to this project, so much so that through the office of his permanent secretary, we would have arranged this particular visit, and we want to extend our gratitude to the office of the Prime Minister and the permanent secretary for facilitating the visits at any time, all right, to look at the project, to ensure that everything goes according to plan, and again meets the standards. So that's what it's all about.
Perfect.
Mm.
Okay, so thanks a lot, Mr. Whittier.
All right.
And then part of the team that's involved probably in the background and MOU. I think you walked well today, Mr. Lloyd and Mr. Lestrade. They're usually behind the scenes, but I think you're able to grab them today. Mr. Lloyd and Mr. Lestrade are the ones driving the land acquisition and everything related to the over 500 acres of land, and the over what 290 or 300 property owners, 316 property owners in total. So they would have interfaced directly with Mr. Lloyd and Mr. Lestrade, and they've dealt one on one and all the challenges, as you can imagine, in the acquisition process. So I don't know, Mr. Lloyd, Mr. Lestrade, if you could just give us a quick update as to where we are with that and how things have been progressing in general.
Yeah. Okay, so in terms of the actual acquisition itself, like Mr. Johnson said, the government has acquired over 500 acres of land and from 300 and over 300 landowners. And we should well appreciate or imagine that if we acquire from 300 landowners, you'd be dealing with actually maybe 3 times the amount, or at bare minimum 2 times the amount, because you find the parents, the children, the uncles, the aunts will be interfacing and so on. So all in all, we have acquired all the lands that are required for the project. We're doing well in terms of where we at, in terms of our payments and so on. We have done well in terms of our payment, maybe paying over $40 million in terms of compensation for the lands that are acquired. So basically, that's where we are now in terms of that aspect of the project, which is basically being controlled by myself and Mr. Lestrade with the help of the Lands and Survey Department. We have the government have set up a secretariat to deal with basically all matters pertaining to lands acquired, compensation, crop compensation related to the airport project. So in a nutshell, that's where we are now in terms of acquisition and compensation.
I don't think folks appreciate fully the amount that goes into the acquisition, because acquisition is not just point and acquire. It's a multi-phased approach in terms of acquisition, gazetting, negotiations, compensation, and then the final taking possession of the property. And Mr. Lloyd and Mr. Lestrade together have, in some instances, bent over backwards. Actually, in many instances, to ensure that this process has been able to go through to the point that we are at right now, because what you're looking at right now is many different landowners stitched together, even overlooking the Joe Burton development and the relocation and allocation of landowners to new houses, and even regularizing some of the agricultural land squatters and relocating. So all that happened through these guys here. Yeah. So, and they've done a fantastic job. Nothing goes without a challenge. If it were easy, it would have been done already. But they've been able to navigate some of those obstacles. Yeah. I don't know, Mr. Lestrade, any additional words on the process? Okay, good, excellent. We also have the benefit of having Mr. Benoit Badwell. Mr. Badwell, who is who wears many hats, figuratively and literally. Mr. Badwell is the chairman of the International Airport Development Company. He's chairman of DDA. He's the chairman of the Air Access, the Air Transportation Board. So Mr. B, we have the benefit of Mo. She's getting everything all at once, because we've been going back and forth for many months to have her on site. But I think she worked very well today. So I don't know, any thoughts as to the progress of the project and where we are and where we're heading.
Well, what I can say is, as can be seen on the ground, we've made tremendous progress in terms of moving the project. And you can see that the terminal is well on its way, and several other components in terms of the infrastructure of the airport. And I dare say that, God permits with weather. In particular, we should be on stream for some time in 27 for delivery. So I want to say that to all of the listeners and viewers, that in fact a tremendous amount of work is being done here, and it is good that you can have a visual view of where we are now. And I would want to continue so that persons continue to monitor the progress. As you would have seen today, we have ECHA doing an audit in terms of figuring out how far we, and also whether in fact we are in compliance with some of the things that have been put in place. And so we had a meeting today to be able to ensure that those safeguards are there. And so this is the process. We're putting in the oversight in terms of ensuring that those things that are to be done are done in keeping with the standards and the recommendations from ICAO. And so we want to make sure that, as we move along, that we deliver a compliant airport at the end of the exercise. So I would say to all the viewers that we are in fact, bringing closer and closer the airport to reality, the international airport to reality. And we're not only waiting for the physical building and the runway. Samuel will also say to you that we are actually working on the air access things, routes to be able to encourage new airlines to come to Dominica when this airport is open. So we're in fact continuing to do that work as well and talking to several other airlines in relation to Dominica. So we are in fact doing a number of things at the same time to ensure that we can maximize the opportunity. Because this airport will provide tremendous opportunities for Dominica, not only in bringing in passengers, but also in helping us to export items and to be able to increase the economic business throughout the island in terms of the volume of persons and the volume of business that we can conduct. So it will also help the fisher folks because they will be able to export their fresh tuna to areas that they could not do so before, and it will help the farmers to bring fresh fruit to distant places in distant markets. So I want to encourage persons to continue to monitor the progress, and clearly we are well on our way to having an international airport.
And Mr. B, are you confident that 2027 is not just Samuel Johnson, but it's a reality?
No, I'm very confident. I'm very confident that we are going to have this airport, except we have something major happen in terms of natural issues. But albeit, given all of what is happening now, the delivery date's 2027.
Excellent. Okay. Any questions? Good. Okay, so sure. Yeah. I'll repeat it. Yeah, so the question was in relation to comments about the airport negatively impacting the country. So my feedback to that really is this massive investment. In everything in life, there is negative and positive. So the question is the positive going to outweigh the negative? And I mean, you could interview someone in primary school, not even high school, as to the importance of an airport in terms of connecting Dominica to the global economy, right? Yes, Douglas Charles, you've been able to get direct flights out of the United States, but what a lot of people don't know is those flights had to be with specialized equipment, specialized training, and not every airline is open to doing that, right? And more so the aircraft that are being used for Douglas Charles is not the most economical as well. Because, for example, the United flight is 126 passengers. A regular 737 is 169 passengers with the same crew. So same two pilots, same air hostess. So you can do the math really quickly to see, well, which one becomes more cost advantageous. Similarly, the American Airlines aircraft is only 76 seats, right? So yes, it's progress, but what this will enable us to do is one, you heard Mr. B talk about the ability to export high value perishable cargo products, fish, for example, into new markets, cut flowers. So in terms of Ministry of Trade and new markets for exports, it opens us wide open. In terms of tourists, the IMF last report indicated that the average stay over tourist in Dominica spends about $3,600, right? So you can quickly do the maths. If we were to get like 300,000 stayover visitors, that's over $1 billion just from stayover visitors alone. And that is at today's currency. We all admit that there is not a lot to spend money on in Dominica, but with more tourists, that average expenditure per stayover visitor will go up because there'll be more things to do, and more opportunities to spend in the country. So economically, I think it's a requirement. If you look at the neighboring islands that everybody points to regularly, what do they have that we don't have? Actually, I'd say we have more than they do, but the one differentiating factor is the ease of access to the destination, because you board a plane in Germany, you board a plane in the UK, you board a plane in New York. It's one up and one down. The destination must be prepared to receive that aircraft. So I think the positives definitely outweighs the negatives. Um, and in every step of development, there has to be change. I know Dominica, we like things to stay just as it is, but change is a must, and change for the good and for the better is something we need to ensure that we work towards. Yeah.
I have three questions. What is the correlation between the Debauche project with the international airport? That is one. Number two, would you say that the people of Wesley benefited from this massive project? And how many locals are employed at this international airport?
Okay. So I'll take the easy one first. In terms of locals, we've changed based on the phase of work. At its peak, I think we've been up to 300 locals working in various levels. So everything from site engineers, surveyors, when we're doing the initial laying out. Actually, at Debauche, which you mentioned, you have surveyors plotting out the lands. You have drivers, and I'm sure we can all differentiate between the Chinese truck drivers and the Dominican truck drivers on the road, because the Dominican truck drivers tend to be a little bit more confident, probably too much so. So at all levels, in the project, we've engaged Dominicans working with the contractor, working with the developer. Um, that was the last question. The first question, which is, well, I go with the second one, and I work back to the first one. Have the community of Wesley benefited? One of the first steps, and actually the first group to benefit from the airport, is the community of Wesley, because the over 300 property owners that were involved in the acquisition, primarily from this area. The whole Joe Burton development is to relocate property owners that were along the roadside to more resilient houses up in Joe Burton as part of the compensation package. So during that initial process, there was a large influx of cash and capital into the community. And that is something that is ongoing. When the airport is fully operational and functional, Wesley would become the front door, if you will, of Dominica to the world. Yeah, so there are benefits from the initial construction development stages, and longer term and lasting benefits from the operations, because as you can imagine, you will have a lot of people working at the airport, and then people might find it beneficial to move to Wesley, or Wesley individuals would be working directly at the airport. You'll have overnighters where flights are cancelled. They have to find a place to put them. You're not going to drive all the way back down to Roseau or all the way to Portsmouth. So there's those opportunities as well. First stop into Dominica, there's opportunities for Wesley folks to develop products and services that can attract people on the way in and on the way out. And then finally, which was your first question in terms of Debauche. Debauche is probably the third of three quarries that have been associated, or will be, because it's not a quarry as yet, that will be associated with the airport project. The quarry site is being used to identify the aggregate of the right material to crush and create the foundation for the runway. So people probably are not aware, but the runway is not just asphalt. There has to be almost like 20 inches of aggregate forming that bed, on top of which the asphalt is placed. Initially, we started crushing operations at Pegua, of which the ASIA and all of that, the studies were done. The operating hours, because we are trying to push this thing as quick as possible, we were initially operating 3 shifts at the crusher. Due to complaints from the surrounding area, our operating hours in Pegua was curtailed and restricted. So as you can imagine, less hours, less output. But the amount of material required remains the same. So you either extend the amount of time for the project, or you find another source. The Debosh site actually is a 7-acre site belonging to private owners, of which MMC the developer was able to contract directly with the private land owners. It is not in the national forest reserves because there are no private land owners in the national forest reserves, and the boundaries that are set aside for Debosh is worked in collaboratively with, you saw Mr. Lloyd, you saw Lands and Surveys, Forestry. They were all involved in terms of looking at the site. We actually had a site visit. All of the works that have gone on so far in Debosh, works that are intended as part of the mobilization process. Now, the mobilization process for some looks like operations. And I think we try to work in parallel with some of the studies and consultations. But the PM just did a visit today, actually, at Debosh, and there is going to be a regrouping with the contractor and all ministry officials related to the project to ensure that any parallel processing is something that planning and the developer and government and forestry and environment are all in accordance with. So as we go forward, but there are no quarry operations per se. The massive wall, and probably to a fault, one of the things with CR5, they tend to be very professional in their approach. So when they developed the quarry site, they didn't just clear land and drop equipment. They actually developed it, leveled it, put a wall, retaining wall, which made it look like it's a lot. But then the runoff and all of that, we want to ensure that the necessary pits are being used to trap as much of the siltation as possible, so it doesn't go downstream. So yes, it is associated. It is the reason why that quarry is being developed. We use the Ansdime quarry, we had the Pegua quarry, and now Debosh will be another one associated. One of the things that we don't want to do is to have to import aggregate. That would be a sin, in my mind, for Dominica to have to import aggregate from another country when we have the materials right beneath our feet. And by all testing, the quality of the material we have here is really, really good. And the private landowner is okay with and contractually engaged with CR5 and MMC insofar as having the operations in that location. Yeah? Does that answer your question?
For the purpose of my viewers, let us tell them what we're saying in the background again.
Sure. So right behind me is the terminal. This whole building, from the tallest point to the left, all the way to this end down here. That is all the terminal building. As you can see, it is going to be a 2-story structure, right? Where we're standing right now would be your departure, where you'll be going in through your security checks. Your check-in would be in that corner, in the left corner. Your check-in, we have 28 counters where for check-in. Then after, we have 28 counters, 10 kiosks and increasingly people are checking in on their phones. So even the counters, we're going back and forth as to how many counters we would require, because very modern. We're not going to be the biggest, but we'll be probably the most recent and hopefully the most advanced. From the check-in area, they then go through the center here, which will have an initial your screening would happen in this area, and then they would go up to the second floor, which would be departures. Departures would then connect through 5 boarding bridges, 5 jet bridges, as some people refer to it, to the aircraft. On the reverse, it would be coming through the same jet bridges into the immigration, which would be just behind your security area, the ground floor. Then go through customs, your baggage carousel, and then come through on this end over here would be your arrivals, yeah, and your parking lot. The buildings that you're looking at, the one that is shrouded right now in scaffolding, that is your FBO. The one next to it, the tall one protruding up on the 5th floor, that is the air traffic control tower. So that is going up. And then right next to it would be the hangar. Next to it would be the cargo terminal. And on the side of the cargo terminal would be the air rescue and firefighting building. Yeah. So it's a complete build out. And all in front here would be parking. Yeah. 5 gates. Yeah. Including regional. Yeah. The runway would be, and I don't know, you probably get a picture. The runway would be coming from over Woodford Hill, going all the way down to Bottom Wesley. So on our way out, you can probably take a picture of it. Yeah? When you get to the other side. Okay.
So, my dear viewers, you are seeing first-hand information from Emonews. This is your terminal building. I am excited, and I know you are excited as well. And there will be 2 floors at this terminal building, up and down, one for departure and one for arrival. A lot of work is going on right now. And as you heard, in 2027, they are hoping that this international airport will be made available to Dominica. So we want to commend the team. We want to say well done. And we want to say a special thank you to Mr. Samuel Johnson for giving us this interview and this tour. I have been trying for a while now. And some of you may be saying, Emonews don't show anything that is happening in Dominica. But guess what? Emonews can't just come here and just show what she wants. So it's been a whole year I've been trying to get him. And this is happening right now. It's a year now, and I'm here to show you exactly how and the work that is going on right here at the International Airport project. So this is the more of the terminal building, the tower, and everything. So on behalf of Emonews, we say thank you all for viewing. We will come back to show you a view from the runway, but we are ending right now and we will be right back. Thank you all for viewing.